What if the power to reshape your entire reality has always been within you? Neville Goddard revealed a truth so profound, it challenges everything we believe about fate, limitation, and the nature of existence. This isn't theory. It's the key to conscious creation. And it starts with one radical shift. The reality you live in is not an objective, fixed construct. It is a reflection, a mirror of your dominant assumptions, emotional states, and internal narratives. Everything begins within. Every event, circumstance, and relationship that unfolds in your external world has its root in your consciousness. This is not a poetic metaphor. It is literal. Neville Goddard taught that imagination creates reality. And until this is understood not merely intellectually but experientially, life will appear to be random, controlled by forces outside your grasp. But once you embody this truth, once you grasp that your inner world determines your outer experience, everything begins to shift. Assumption is the seed of manifestation. The state of being you inhabit, whether consciously or unconsciously, produces the fruits of your life. This is why trying to change reality without shifting your internal state rarely works. You might alter a surface condition temporarily, but if your core assumptions remain intact, reality will reorganize to reflect them again. You can try harder, hustle more, manipulate circumstances, but all this is like rearranging the images on a movie screen when what you need to do is change the film. The film is your consciousness. The projector is your imagination. Until you change what you are assuming to be true, you will continue to see the same patterns repeat in different forms. The law of assumption, as Neville articulated, means that what you assume to be true, even if there is no evidence of it, will harden into fact. If you assume you are successful, if you walk in that feeling even before external validation appears, the world will mold itself to that assumption. The feeling is the secret. Emotion is not just a byproduct of events. It is a tool, a bridge between the inner and the outer. When you feel something as real, you impress it upon the subconscious, and the subconscious, being the creative power, begins to externalize that reality. Emotion is not weakness, it is vibration, it is frequency, and frequency dictates resonance. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are in alignment with. This is why it is crucial not to suppress or bypass emotion, but to understand and work with it consciously. Every emotion you feel is an indicator of your alignment with your desired state. When you feel expansive, inspired, grateful, you are near the frequency of your fulfilled desire. When you feel contraction, resentment, fear, you are in disharmony with it. These emotions are not punishments or signs of failure. They are feedback. To master reality, you must master the relationship between thought and emotion. Thought alone is not enough. It is the marriage of thought and feeling that generates creation. Neville spoke of living in the end, not hoping for, not begging for, but dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled. What does this mean? It means identifying with the version of you who already has the thing desired. Not just visualizing it as if you were watching a movie, but being it, feeling it. Occupying that version of self as your dwelling place, your home state. Your current identity is a construct, a collection of beliefs, patterns, and emotional habits you've rehearsed over time. Most of it was inherited. You didn't choose it consciously. It was absorbed from childhood, culture, family, and repeated experience. But you can choose to reconstruct it. You can assume a new self, and when you do, your world must follow. This is not positive thinking. It is metaphysical law. Every state of being carries its own circumstances, its own relationships, its own timeline. When you shift identity, you shift timelines. This is why effort is often unnecessary. It's not that action is wrong, it's that action from the old state will only reproduce the old results. The shift is internal first. From that place, inspired action arises naturally. But if you take action while still assuming you are unworthy, lacking, or separate from your desire, you will reinforce that state. You cannot escape a state by acting against it. You escape it by exiting it entirely, by assuming another. The most powerful tool you possess is your imagination. It is divine. It is the creative force behind all that exists. Every invention, every work of art, every movement began as a thought sustained and felt. And yet most people use imagination destructively, imagining worst-case scenarios, reliving past traumas, anticipating disappointment. this is still creation. Imagination does not discriminate. It reflects what is held within it. To consciously use imagination is to reclaim your authorship. Living in the end is not pretending. It is choosing. It is deciding that regardless of appearances, you are that which you desire to be. This choice is not a delusion. It is a declaration, a claim of identity. The world responds to who you are being, not what you are wanting. Wanting implies distance. Being implies union. If you want to experience love, you must first assume the state of being lovable and loving. If you desire abundance, you must walk in the feeling of being abundant now, not someday. The subconscious does not respond to logic. It responds to feeling. That is why affirmations spoken without emotion have little power. It is the felt truth of the statement that impresses. When you repeat, "I am worthy," but feel unworthy, the deeper feeling wins. To change this, you must begin to dwell in the feeling you wish to feel, not the one you've become addicted to. Emotional addiction is real. Many people are chemically addicted to feeling anxious, victimized, or angry. These emotional patterns become neurological grooves. But they are not permanent. They are programmable. And the reprogramming begins with awareness. Awareness is the first step to liberation. If you are not aware of your internal state, you are enslaved by it. You may believe you are reacting to life, when in truth, you are reacting to your assumptions about life. Two people can experience the same event and respond in entirely different ways, because it is not the event, it is the meaning assigned. And the meaning is determined by the state you occupy. Change the state and the same event holds a different message. States are not fixed. You move through them all the time. One moment you feel confident, the next, doubtful. But most people identify with these passing states as if they are who they are, rather than recognizing them as experiences they are having. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer. You are not your emotion. You are the awareness in which emotion arises. And from that place of witness consciousness, you can choose. Choice is the great privilege of consciousness. Animals react. Humans can respond. You can pause. You can observe a thought without believing it. You can feel an emotion without obeying it. You can say, "This is present within me, but it is not the totality of me." And from there, you can shift. You can create. You can assume the new. The assumption must be persistent. Doubt will arise. Contradictory evidence will appear. Old patterns will try to reassert themselves. This is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of purification. The old must surface to be released. When you persist in the assumption despite appearances, you transmute the old. The inner reality begins to anchor itself, and eventually the outer must comply. Reality always lags behind consciousness. What you experience today is the echo of yesterday's state. Persistence is not struggle, it is faith. It is holding the vision gently but firmly, not gripping with fear, but dwelling with knowing. It is the stillness that says, "It is done." Even when the bank account says otherwise. Even when the mirror reflects the old. The world is not immediate, it is reflective. Hold your state long enough, and it must return to you in form. This is the alchemy of manifestation. It is not forced, it is allowed. The inner shifts and the outer conforms. When you operate from this awareness, you are free. No longer a victim of circumstance, no longer a puppet of other people's stories. You become sovereign. And from that sovereignty, you create with clarity. But this path is not passive. It requires discipline, not of effort, but of attention. Where your attention goes, energy flows. If you constantly focus on what is missing, you reinforce the state of lack. If you keep looking for evidence of failure, you align with failure. Your attention is the brush that paints your reality. Choose wisely. Do not let the outer world dictate your inner state. Let your inner state dictate your experience of the outer world. Gratitude is a powerful anchor, not as a strategy, but as a state. When you feel grateful as if the desire were already fulfilled, you signal to the subconscious, "This is my reality," and it responds. Gratitude shifts focus from absence to presence. It aligns you with abundance. It is one of the fastest ways to elevate your frequency. But understand this, you do not manifest what you deserve. You manifest what you accept. If deep down you believe you are not good enough, the universe reflects that belief. This is why inner work is essential. Not to fix yourself, because you are not broken, but to reveal yourself. The truth of who you are is whole, worthy, divine. But layers of conditioning have hidden it, and the work is to remove the false, not add the true. Let go of trying to convince the world. Convince yourself. The world is secondary. It is the mirror. The mirror cannot smile first. You must smile, and then the reflection smiles back. Trying to change reality without changing self is like trying to change your reflection by fixing the mirror. It is backward. Faith is not blind belief. It is inner knowing. It is trust in the unseen because you are the cause. Neville taught that faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. Not because you hope it will come, but because you know it already exists. The version of you who lives the life you desire is not hypothetical. It is real. It exists now in a different state of consciousness. You do not become them. You return to them. Imagination is the bridge. When you visualize, feel, and identify with that version of self, you begin to tune to their frequency. You begin to act, speak, and think like them. And reality, being obedient, adjusts accordingly. Release the timeline. The when is not your job. Your job is the what and the who. What do you desire? Who are you in that fulfilled state? Become that now. The universe handles the how and the when. Time is not linear, it is elastic. What seems far away can appear instantly when alignment is pure. What seems close can delay if resistance is present. So release time, dwell in being, and let reality catch up. You are not manifesting from scratch, you are selecting. All possibilities already exist. You are tuning to the one you desire. Like a radio dial, you don't create the station, you align with it. This is why self-concept is everything. Your concept of self determines what you can access. Expand the self, and you expand the possibilities. Speak to yourself as the person you are becoming. Affirmations are not magic words, they are statements of identity. They remind you of who you are choosing to be. I am is the name of God. What you place after it, you become. Say it with feeling. Let it sink in. Let it become your dominant vibration. Detachment does not mean not caring. It means non-resistance. It means you know it is yours, so you don't chase. You allow. You rest in it. You act in alignment, but you do not grasp. Desire and surrender are not opposites, they are partners. Desire sets the direction. Surrender allows the unfolding. You will be tested, not by life, but by your own doubts. When the old self rises, when fear whispers, remember this: you are not your thoughts. You are the chooser of thoughts. Return to the assumption. Return to the state. Live in the end, not once but continuously. Make it your dwelling place, and watch as the outer world rearranges, not because you forced it, but because you remembered who you are.